Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder.
And we've returned from our Thanksgiving break. Hope everybody had a really nice holiday. For those of you in America who celebrate Thanksgiving.
And for what sounds like an increasing percentage of Europeans who have decided it sounds like fun.
Yes, I heard a story the other day. It was like, I think it was like 42% of Gen Zers in the UK were celebrating Thanksgiving. So
Yeah, which I mean why not, right? You just
yeah.
it kind of reminds me of what's his name from over at Midnight's Edge, the Norwegian guy,
Andre.
Andre, talking about how Halloween showed up one day in Norway, like just totally driven by the corporations, in the same way that The Simpsons had that fake Love Day holiday in one episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, yeah.
But yeah, we have a variety of pieces of media with us here answering the question: Does it good? Should you watch? And
Yes. Yeah.
speaking of holiday movies, we're starting off with a more recent production from Netflix, Klaus.
Yes, Klaus. Um, I never heard of this until DB mentioned it, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. It's a little, basically the origin story of Santa Claus.
Yep, mashed together with the Terry Pratchett book Going Postal,
Mm.
which it's such a weird coincidence to have a story of a ne'er-do-well who ends up being put in charge of a post office and being asked to turn it around. Like that is it's a different sort of ne'er-do-well, because our main character in this movie, Jesper, is he is a child of privilege whose dad basically owns the post office.
Yes, and he doesn't want to. He's basically just like doing the whole post office thing just for out of like sheer whatever obligation or whatever. And
Right, with
yeah,
with the objective of tanking his performance so that daddy lets him come back home.
right. Yes, but instead dad says, no, I'm actually sending you to this very remote northern post office to get it going, and you need to mail out around was it 6,000 letters.
6,000, yep.
Yeah, and then he can come home. And of course he gets there, and it's what you would expect, just a very quiet little northern town up in here. I would say probably kind of close to Iceland, maybe.
Yeah, like if we assume it's like the like a real European setup, it might be like the Faroe Islands.
Yeah,
Like,
and yeah,
somewhere dark and nasty, and what do you know? The people there are just as nasty because you have this rivalry between the Ellingboe family and the Crumb family.
yeah. Which one's the world got kind of goth looking ones? The Crom family, is that right, or is that the Ellingbow?
Let's see, the Ellingboes are the ones who are represented by the dumb guy,
Okay.
voiced by Will Sasso,
Okay, so
and
that's
the
yeah, that's the red. They're the redheads, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the Crumbs are led by Mrs. Crumb, who's voiced by Joan Cusack. By the way, nice array of celebrities here. Jesper is
Yeah.
voiced by Jason Schwartzman.
Mhm.
Mr. Klaus is voiced by J.K. Simmons, and Rashida Jones does a nice job as Alva, the love interest.
Yes. Yeah, she's there as a school teacher, but of course none of the kids go to school, so she turns the school into a fishmonger. Uh, and she's trying to earn enough money so that she can get off the island. And of course, Jesper, he's trying to figure out how to mail all these things, and then he
Right.
he meets the ferryman. I can't remember the ferryman's name, but I just remember he's voiced by the late Norm Macdonald.
In a moment of perfect casting.
Mhm. But yeah, he hears from the ferryman that about this woodsman lives all the way up in the northern end of the island.
And he's like, well, maybe he wants to send some mail.
Yeah, and he gets up there and he sees that this woodsman's got a bunch of wood toys that he's made. And before that though, he meets a kid, one of the Crumb kids living in the house, and he loses his little drawing and he wants his drawing back. And he's like, well, if you want the drawing back, you got to put it in the mail, and
It's just a penny.
just a penny. Yeah.
By the way, we've kind of skipped over Jesper's personality. The guy is like Emperor Kuzco from The Emperor's New Groove turned up to 13. Just like so selfish, so narcissistic, so much of a jerk ass.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He all he cares about is just getting off the island, and not no matter how he does it, he's just going to do it.
Yep. So what ends up happening is, by the way, I love the design for Santa Claus there because he is just a giant. Like,
Yeah. And he's not fat either. He's just very burly. Yeah.
He kind of almost reminds me of that superhero version of Santa from that Guardians movie that DreamWorks tried to come out with.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
But yeah, he's just a isolated woodsman. Has a room full of wooden toys he's made himself, and Santa sees this letter or sees the picture drawn by the little boy, and decides to give the little boy one of his toys. So that's when Jesper gets his idea to drive up mail circulation. So
Yes. Yeah.
send a letter to Mr. Klaus, and he'll give you a toy.
Right. Yeah. And so then they start doing this clandestine stuff at night where they sneak into their houses and they leave them a toy.
Yep. And so, of course, all the way through, you have kind of an almost naturalistic idea of how did all the parts of the Santa Claus myth to come together. It's like, oh, how did he get down the chimneys? Well, Jesper is thin and wiry enough to help him out with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the one I like too is when there's one kid in the village who gives Jesper a really hard time. And one of the letters was from him, and he wanted some toy. And then he's like, "No, I'm not going to give him a toy." And he looks over, and he sees a bucket full of coal, and so he just puts the toy in the stocking, or the coal in the stocking. And
wait, only good kids get the toys?
yeah. Yeah. He does the well, he has a list of all the naughty kids, and he knows if you're being naughty.
Yep. So it's just like it's just a very fun little movie. I will say that when I watched it with my family around when it launched, they didn't really care for the kind of dingy tone of it or the dingy appearance of it, or some sadness in Klaus's past that they go into.
All right, yeah.
Which I won't spoil because this movie's plot is fairly predictable, so you might as well have whatever surprises are available.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And hey, Arcos, good to see you. He says interesting. I like the animation for this movie. From what he sees in the thumbnail. Yeah, the animation style kind of reminded me of a very Don Bluth-esque style.
Yeah, the main director of it. Here's which one of these guys is it? Well, there's two directors listed. There's Sergio Pablos and Carlos Martinez Lopez. As I recall, when I looked them up on IMDb, one has a much more a lengthy. Okay, yeah. So Sergio Pablos has a long resume at DreamWorks and other mainline animation companies. What's also interesting about it is that technically this is all done CGI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's interesting. It's interesting because if you just look at it, it looks hand drawn until the camera tilts and you see another angle of a character, or um, there's other details where you go, "Oh, this is all CGI." It's just CGI doing its best to look hand animated.
yeah. I actually thought it was hand animated until you said it was CGI.
Yes, I think I think it was just like an attempt at keeping that style alive, from what I recall reading at the
Yeah,
time.
mm. Which I
It was also
appreciate. Yeah.
nominated for an Academy Award, which I don't know
Oh.
what won in 2019. I'm going to guess it was Disney.
You know, well, let's find out. Oscars, Oscars 2019. 2019.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, of course.
Okay, like whatever issues I have with those stories as far as being Spider-Man stories, that's strong competition
Yeah.
just on a visual production level.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this has a nice pedigree behind it. It's a pretty heartwarming story. I don't know if it's managed to breach the Christmas classic canon. Um,
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Probably not.
but I think it's worthy of a watch if you haven't yet. Actually, you know what the animation really reminds me of, or at least the way characters are colored and shaded,
Yeah.
is actually the old Gillimations from Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Oh yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
because the characters move in slightly unnatural ways.
Mhm.
But and I also I believe that some of the people who worked on this worked on The Emperor's New Groove. Even though like neither director had it in their IMDb's when I looked it up earlier.
Uh,
So it does. It's like there is just such a visual. Basically, if you liked movie animation in the 90s and 2000s, this is a worthy watch.
mm. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good also good one to watch with your family too. You know, if you're getting sick of the usual like Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation, Santa Claus, you know.
Mixed nuts if you're my family.
Yeah, or Arcos for Arcos Die Hard. Although
Uh, that's
our official position here at Critique Corner is that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
right. Die Hard is an excellent movie that takes place at Christmas but does not have the themes of Christmas.
Right. Yes.
And now we've said something that controversial, let's move on to another Netflix production.
Yes.
Daniel, you finished the fight with Stranger Things season 5.
I did, yes. Yeah, so the first 4 episodes dropped over Thanksgiving. Finally had time to watch it this last weekend. I'm one of those people who got hooked on it in the first season. But I will say, like the subsequent seasons have been kind of a letdown, if I'm being honest, especially seasons 2 and 3. Um, it seems like they're just really, really trying to milk this show. Netflix was trying to really milk the show for all it's worth. Um,
I mean, we've talked about before just how popular this thing is. It like just its ability to like that. It took the song "Running Up That Hill," which nobody actually paid attention to in the '80s, and managed to turn it into a number one hit.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and that song makes a comeback, by the way, in this season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and don't worry, Arcos. I won't spoil it. But and I'll try not to go too far into the weeds explaining it because I mean after 5 seasons this show has a very steeped built-in lore, um, So I'll try not to get too far with that, but but what happens, and so this picks up, I want to say about a year and change after the previous season, which is kind of funny because I believe season 4 dropped like 4 years ago. Uh, I was still living in Texas when when season 4 premiered, so that just gives you some perspective on how much time has passed. Um, and of course, all the young kids in the like the 5 main kids from the show, like they're supposed to be like high school sophomores. They don't look like high school sophomores. they look like they look like college graduate students. Uh,
Yeah, aren't some of the actors pushing 30 by this point?
Mid-20s at least. I know the girl who plays 11 is like in her early 20s. She actually just got married not too long ago. Um, but yeah, so like you've got these like 3 main groups of characters with the so okay, so usually so each season of the show there's always like 3 separate groups. You got the heroes, and then which are like the 3 different tiers of people. You got like the adults, you got like that's like the old police chief Hopper, and then Joyce Byers, that's Winona Ryder's character, and then you got the teens and young adults, and that's like uh Nancy, Jonathan, who's Joyce's older son, and then and Steve's the guy with the really nice hair, the long hair. And then and what's the lesbian, um, uh, Ethan
Oh, the
Hawke's
one with the
daughter.
sweater.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, she's played by Maya Hawke, who's Ethan Hawke's daughter. Um, and
Holy
Uma
crap! It's
Thurman.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, yeah. She's Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter. So just gives you some idea about like how she got into acting. Um, and then you've got the kids who are now like teenagers. And I will say it's very hard to keep all of these characters straight, with all the names and everything, especially with the kids, because they're all like, because you got like different siblings in there, and you've got like this kid's this and this kid's that, and a lot of the times most of them are just kind of there. They're not really doing anything, um, which is just it kind of gets annoying because it's like you're kind of wasting a lot of this, wasting some potential here, especially with between Steve and one of the kids, Dustin. Dustin's he's kind of like the tech kid, and I really think those two should like have their own spinoff show, like because they have this like buddy cop dynamic. Um, but anyway, to get back into it, then you have the villains, and the villains are all the creatures and everything in the Upside Down, which is this like other dimension where it's like our world, but like dark and scary. And actually, every time they're in the Upside Down, because it's all CGI, it's all green screen. It reminds me of those FMV games from the '90s, where it just does. You could tell they're in an artificial environment. And I don't know if that's what they're going for, or if that's just the way the CGI works. They spent $500 million, by the way, on this season.
500 million.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the most expensive season of a television series in history. And I think number 2 is probably season 4 of this show, which was like 350 or 400 million.
Jesus Cristo.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, and then and the main baddie is this guy they call Vecna, and he's this money laundering Arcos, yeah, more than likely. and yeah, so the main baddie's Vecna, and he, so you meet them in season 4, and he's basically the one who's been pulling the strings the entire time, which is a bit of a retcon because they really didn't. There's no mention of him at all in the first 3 seasons. But then you have the secondary villains, which is basically the U.S. government, some shady government agency they want to use whatever is in the Upside Down because, remember, this is the 1980s. It's the Cold War. So, they're trying to find new weapons and new stuff in the fight against communism.
Probably more of a practical weapon than training a bunch of raptors like in Jurassic World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And of course the government, there's always the main government official who's like the main secondary villain. And this season it's Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor herself.
Oh, so basically they've said, "Oh, you did such a good job of it in Resident Alien. Come on in."
Yeah. By the way, the years have not been kind to her. Well,
I mean, she's got to be pushing her 70s by now, right?
Yes, yeah, but she looks like she's in her 80s. But well, I mean, it happens to all of us.
Yep.
But yeah, so the main thing with this season is the town of Hawkins, Indiana, is under a military quarantine because at the end of the last season, the Upside Down started coming through and it split the town open. But they sealed it off with a bunch of basically concrete band-aids, and they are our plucky band of heroes are trying to find Vecna and end it and kill him and end everything once and for all. And so how they do it is they keep track of these military convoys that go into the Upside Down because there's a portal that they can go through. And so what they do is they wait for one of these convoys to happen, and then Hopper, that's David Harbour's character, he sneaks onto one of the trucks and then goes into the Upside Down so that they can look around. And meanwhile, they have this van with a radio transmitter where they can keep track of him while he's traveling around in the Upside Down. And in the real world, they can track him in the real world. And of course, as you might expect, things don't go as planned for what they're trying to do. And of course, they're Vecna's got his own plan that he's coming up with, and of course one of the characters notes that they're coming up on the 4-year anniversary since all of it started with Will Byers, who was one of the kids. He got abducted and taken to the Upside Down, and he's like the only, and he still has this connection with Vecna. He can still like see through his eyes. He can see through the eyes of his minions, the Demogorgon they call them. It's just so that's that part of it. So that's, yeah, basically I think that's the most I could say about the plot. Another new character that they've decided to focus on this season is the youngest sister of the Wheeler kids. Her name's Holly, and they've fit in. So she's been reading A Wrinkle in Time, and so they've kind of fit in a little bit of a Wrinkle in Time thing with the plot and the problem of this season. And Holly even refers to Vecna, who appears to her in his human form. She calls him Mr. Whatsit, like Miss Whatsit or Mrs. Whatsit in from A Wrinkle in Time. And it just says, should have trained to become Doomslayer. Oh yeah.
I mean, most things would be improved if you added the Doomslayer into the mix. Like that's.
Oh yeah. It would solve a lot of problems. Yeah, the problems of this show would have been solved a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, it's this season kind of follows the same. It follows the same template that they set up in the previous season. which worked for it last season, even though there were kind of a couple of issues I had with it that they carried over in this season. Like one of the characters is in a coma, which I'm not a big fan of just putting characters in a coma because so here is one of the things about the show is that they're really afraid to kill off characters. Unless you're Eddie Munson. They didn't have any problem killing him off. But like they never like none of the kids really get and none of the kids that are killed off. One of the kids is actually, like I said, she's in a coma, and it's like come on, I mean, or Barb, oh god, I completely forgot about Barb. Barb was in the first season. She was a friend of Nancy's, and yeah, she gets sent to the Upside Down, and she has never been seen or heard from again.
It's much easier to kill characters early on before people get too attached.
Yeah, it's true.
Just because at a certain point, people see that as an investment that you're taking away from them.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But I would say if they probably should at least kill, like one of the main characters off, if nothing for no other reason, just to kind of like raise the stakes and be like, oh, okay. Well, if they die, then the other characters might, aren't safe anymore. But but I mean, overall, it's a decent enough show. If you've hung with the series this long, I mean, I'd still watch it, just to see what happens. And the remaining episodes, I believe 5 through 7 drop on Christmas, and then the finale is on New Year's Eve. So.
Well, I watched an episode of Stranger Things. I just am allergic to whatever the pacing is for these ongoing streaming shows. Like I can't think of any show that I started watching specifically on streaming that I really stuck with. However, there is one that I keep coming back to whenever they come out with new episodes, and I happen to have an Apple Plus subscription.
Yes.
That is Prehistoric Planet. Unlike previously, Apple TV's Prehistoric Planet is not talking about the same slice of the world 65 million years ago. I think they were saying it was like 10,000 years before the asteroid hit. Now, this time we get a nice swath of the ice ages. And basically it's covering things like a 2 million to 10,000 year ago slice of time. And so you kind of almost get to see like the rise and fall of the ice ages, because there wasn't an ice age. There were a series of pulses and things happened as the ocean levels rose and dropped. Okay, so I'll say as like a big time paleo nerd, there wasn't a whole lot here that was really surprising or new to me. Just because I listen to a lot of YouTube channels where they will just do a deep dive on, oh, hey, here's this new thing we found out. Or here's this crazy creature that you never heard of before. And so with this one, it's things that I would probably pick out if I was doing this sort of documentary.
Yeah.
So it basically has the same criticisms as I did of the first season, or first couple of seasons. Now, production-wise, it's still Jon Favreau's company, still using the tech they made the Lion King quote-unquote live-action movies with.
Yeah.
Which there is a cynical part of me that wonders if he invested so heavily in realistic animal animation specifically to make these rather than the Lion Kings.
Probably, yeah. He might have had like either Disney or another investor in that movie who was like, where he's like, okay, I'll make this movie, but I want to have this production company to do this stuff, and they're like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yep. Well, those movies made enough bank that he was able to come back for a third season, so it worked for him.
Yeah.
So there are 5 episodes of this thing. And also they took Attenborough out and replaced him with Tom Hiddleston, who does a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
Actually, now I'm almost suspicious of my memory. Was it actually Loki? Let's find out.
Well, I mean, if it's Favreau, it kind of
If it was Tom Hiddleston, yep.
Tom Wilson. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense with that Marvel connection there.
Yep. But there really isn't a whole lot of story to talk about per se, because unlike, say, the classic Walking with Dinosaurs, they didn't really. So with those, you would like pick a time and place, and you would just hyper focus on that.
Mm.
So be like, oh, it's Australia 90 million years ago when it was in the Arctic Circle, or excuse me, Antarctic Circle. So we have these dinosaurs that have to deal with extreme cold all the time. Or it's we'll follow more or less this troop of small dinosaurs. With this one, it's more like the Planet Earth series, where it's like they've taken a film crew, quote unquote, and gone out to shoot some neat scenes of various creatures, and they just kind of intersplice them together. So it doesn't really have, like, it has a bunch of short narratives. I would almost say that the best way to enjoy this would be individual clips on YouTube. Because I kind of made the mistake of turning this on while I was doing other things yesterday, and in the background, and like watching 4.5 episodes of this back to back before it got too late was a bit much.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, as far as I can tell, they didn't space this out week by week like they did with the previous ones. They just dropped it all at once.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah. Apple usually does a week to week schedule with their shows. I wonder when they did that.
Yeah, I could be mistaken, but I remember YouTube channels that I follow only put out the reviews of it a couple weeks back, and like some of them even got early access. The other thing I'll say is that it's really funny. I think it shows you the difference of how people think about mammals versus reptiles and birds. In the dinosaur shows, they could not stop killing babies all over the place.
Oh, jeez.
Like the opening scene of that one, where you had a T-Rex dad taking his babies across a stretch of water. One of them gets eaten by a mosasaur. They have a scene with a bunch of pterosaurs that hatch and have to fly into the protection of these woods, but there's every predator out there trying to get them.
Oh god.
And a lot don't make it.
Jeez.
But this one, it's almost like, okay, I don't really want to watch a baby mammoth die, but you keep teasing it so often.
It's like Monty Python. Get on with it.
Yep. It's like, come on, you cowards! You aren't going to kill a baby elephant.
Yeah.
Like, it keeps happening. Sorry for minor spoiler alerts if you watch this, but if there's a scene with a baby elephant in danger, he's not going to die. What I will give them credit for is just the sheer variety of creatures they managed to show off. Because there's a lot of giant ground sloths and not so giant ground sloths that they show. And you get everything from Arctic versions that are just covered in white hair to mostly bald Central American versions, just showing the difference in the climate. You get crazy creatures like the marsupial lion, which is basically a killer wombat. Actually, no, more of a killer koala, I should say. Now, there are some technical, like, accuracy questions you could ask of this show. One YouTube channel I follow was a guy who actually has done more work on the like life history of the marsupial lion than anybody else. And his question was, I don't remember anybody ever doing a biomechanical study that said they couldn't run more than 10 miles an hour.
Okay.
So, like, if you have somebody at his level poking holes in it, then
Yeah.
there's some room for nitpickery. The other nitpick, and I don't think I would have necessarily noticed this if I hadn't seen somebody else mention it in a review. Uh, Sometimes they can get very vague about what you're actually looking at. Like
Yeah.
they take a glyptodon, which is like a giant armadillo covered in like extra armor with a spiky tail, and they actually basically call it a giant armadillo. And I'm thinking to myself, part of the reason that I, as a kid, could rattle off the names of dinosaurs is that they told me the names of these dinosaurs in, in ancient life in general. Like
Mm.
calling a glyptodont, like a unnamed glyptodon, a giant armadillo is about as useful as if in the dinosaur show it was like, and so like a T-Rex is walking by. This enormous bird relative rules these jungles.
That's not helpful.
No, now they do have some nice bits, like a 10-minute bit after each episode, going over how they know some of the things they know, and there are a lot of nice little. I said like I wasn't too surprised, but like a lot of nice little things that people just might not know about, like in the I want to say it's like on the island of Flores, you had these miniature elephants being hunted by giant storks and things like that.
Uh,
Hmm.
hmm.
Which, island dwarfism is a thing.
Yeah. Urko says, my people, how far we have fallen.
Yes, yes, truly. Come on, sloths, get with the program. You used to be a really substantial part of the fauna, and you just fell apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Overall, though, this is definitely like on a whole different level than that Walking with Dinosaurs remake that I reviewed a couple months back. Um, they do a better job of like making the information they give you flow better. Rather than interspersing it and interrupting the flow of the story, they just have it at the end if you're interested in it, and if you're not, you can just skip on to the next episode. Um,
Yeah.
Again, don't again, like I would almost say, like, do not watch these back to back.
Oh.
Just stretch it out over a couple of days or weeks. You'll have a better time.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
I find myself without a transition.
Yeah, hard to go from prehistoric planet to about ancient old animals to spies.
Oh, wait, I got it. Speaking of ancient mammals from a past era, Robert Redford in
Oh,
Spy Games.
oh, oh.
I made it
Jeez.
happen. I made it happen.
You made
I
it
found it.
happen.
I found the
Oh.
linking. I found the link.
Jeez. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Well, yes. So, yes, our last movie review is Spy Game with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. Um, not your, I would say, more of a purist spy thriller than, say, James Bond, Jason Bourne, or Mission Impossible. Um,
Yeah,
Thinking Man's, I think.
this one is very interested in plugging itself into real world history.
Yeah, yeah. It takes place in 1991, uh, right as the Berlin Wall fell. Cold War is over, but now the U.S. is trying to enter into this trade agreement with China.
Big mistake, never works out.
Oh yeah, yeah. And all the while, Brad Pitt's character, Tom Bishop, he sneaks into a Chinese prison because he's rescuing a someone who's being held prisoner there. Who this person is, we don't know. But he doesn't succeed, and then he gets caught by the Chinese, and now he's a prisoner. Then we bring in Robert Redford's character, Nathan Muir, and he is, of course, this is his last day at the CIA. He is quote unquote retiring because one does not retire from the CIA. And Arcos, are they pitted against each other?
Yeah. No,
not
they
quite.
are.
Yeah.
That would have almost been more of like a typical movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to look this up real quick. You go ahead and keep going. There's something I
Okay.
need to. I feel like this was adapted straight from a novel, but I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it was or not, but yeah. So Nathan Muir, we find out that he recruited Bishop into the CIA, and he was also his case officer for a number of years. And he trained him. He taught him all he knew about the spy world. And so most of the movie is Redford in this meeting with all these other CIA guys, and he's telling them about Bishop. Trying to give him his backstory and everything. And we have all these flashbacks to like when they first met in Vietnam, and then all the different missions that some of the different missions they went on together. And the contrast between the two men is very distinct. Redford is he's very cold, very calculating. He plays the spy game very well.
Even though he's more jovial and personable on a surface level, which is kind of an interesting affectation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he'll joke with people about like he wants to look at something, and they're like, well, why not? And the guy's like, well, why don't you go to the operations? Yeah, but so and so will bug me about the $100 I owe him for the Redskins game, and then he goes up to the room and he's like, hey man, you got my 100 from from the Redskins game?
Yeah, Redford is definitely the best part of this movie.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And the other part of it too is he always kind of like he lives in a world of half truths. So we kind of find that out through these flashbacks. He'll mention some woman and be like, well, who's that? Like, oh, that's my third wife or my second wife, or
how many ex-wives do you have?
Yeah. But then of course then Brad Pitt's character is, I mean, he's they call him a Boy Scout because A, he was in the Boy Scouts, and B, he acts like a Boy Scout. He's very idealistic. He cares about people a little too much, even though Redford tells him don't care about assets, don't get attached to them, because you may have to cut them loose and they might get killed, and or worse, or
Which of course is ultimately what got him in trouble in that prison in China.
Yes, yeah. And then through the course of the flashbacks, we find out more about him, and then we find out about the mission they did in Beirut in '85, where Pitt gets really close to an aid worker, a woman, British woman, and little romance subplot there. Of course, I mean, it was almost like requirement that if you have like Brad Pitt in a leading role in a movie, there has to be a romance subplot. I guess that was the only way they could get women in to see the movie. I guess having Brad Pitt in the movie wasn't enough. They got to have a romance subplot in there too.
Yep. Although it seemed natural enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Apparently, okay. So I did my quick Wikipedia research. So this was not based on a movie, although one of the screenwriters did come out with a trilogy of novels based on the characters from the movie.
Oh, okay.
Um, also, apparently, Brad Pitt passed on being in the Bourne Identity in order to be in this movie.
Hmm. That might have been a mistake.
Yeah, it's like oh, who was the one who was supposed to play Han Solo?
Oh, there were a few actors. Oh, um, the one Burt Reynolds, I think, was one.
Yeah, the Burt
Yeah,
Reynolds. That's what I was thinking of.
yeah,
Mind you, both Brad Pitt and Burt Reynolds have done fine for themselves without their respective franchises, but still.
yeah. That's true. Yeah. Um, but and of course, all the while, Redford's telling him, these guys about Bishop. He's working behind the scenes. He's working behind the scenes to get him out of this Chinese prison, and doing all, basically pulling every dirty trick and you know borderline treasonous actions.
Every delaying tactic you can think of.
Right. Yeah. Um, and one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting was like throughout the whole movie, you're kind of wondering, like, why is he going through all this trouble to help? Why is Redford going through all this trouble to help Brad Pitt out? Because like they clearly, because there were times, I mean, they were constantly butting heads,
Right.
and
Well, for that matter, Redford is the one who said, "Hey, don't get too close to an asset," which ultimately, from his perspective, Pitt is
yeah,
just his greatest asset.
right, exactly, yeah. But I think part of it is because, like, since he's the one who recruited him, he trained him, and he worked with him for all those years. Like, he kind of feels like responsible for him, almost like a father feels responsible for a son. That's the only motivation I can think of.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah,
Um, Now, production-wise, I think you mentioned Tony Scott directed this thing, so
yeah,
um, I don't think I'm a big fan of his 2000s work, just because I kind of felt the same about this as I felt about Man on Fire, which we reviewed a couple years back,
yeah,
which was that it was just kind of like over serious,
yeah,
a little
yeah,
maudlin in places.
yeah. I could see that. Yeah, and I would say that trend with him probably started in the mid '90s with Crimson Tide, because Crimson Tide was a lot like that. Um,
Yeah, it is kind of funny. Like I would never have guessed that this was the Top Gun guy,
yeah,
like just from the tone and style of the movie. Also, interestingly, music was done by Harry Gregson Williams. I was almost expecting to find out that he had done the soundtrack for The Matrix or something, just because it's very of the times.
yeah,
And then I'm looking over his history, and it's like this guy has an amazing history of music. Spy
yeah.
Game, parts of the Metal Gear series.
I think he did Call
Um,
of Duty.
let's see here. Don't know if I see Call of Duty on here.
Okay,
He
maybe.
did do Gladiator too, so it isn't all high
Uh,
points. But he
no.
did a bunch of DreamWorks movies like Shrek franchise, Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas,
Mm.
Flushed Away, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Oof. He also did The Martian, which I think you pointed out behind the scenes when we were talking about it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Ants, Team America, World Police. So dude's all over the place. Like, so it's not that it sounded like it was a Matrix ripoff because it was the same guy. It was just the style at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was his style at the time.
um, I think that overall, like for me, I didn't really jive with this movie. Robert Redford is definitely the highlight of it, just because he injects the most life into it, and also the most
Yeah.
mystery. Yeah, you were
Yeah.
talking about this before the show, and you made a great point that for a spy thriller, there isn't a whole lot of mystery or intrigue. Or
Yeah.
okay, but there is some intrigue. There isn't a whole lot of questions to ask. I guess I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no questioning of loyalty. There's no, like, you know, uh, whose side are you really on? That kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, like which you'd kind of expect. I guess there was a little bit of it because of the questionable loyalties around um, the character that Pitt was trying to save. It's like I did entertain the idea that, oh, maybe he's been turned because he got tired of the cynicism of the CIA. But
yeah,
I think that is a narrative that I think I imposed on the story rather than
yeah,
anything that the story objectively was showing.
right, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy this movie for the most part. I mean, it's not a perfect movie, but it's it's. I mean, it kept my attention. Held my interest, and if you know anything about my own work, I do have this soft spot for spy. The spy genre. So
Yep, like it's a totally fine movie. Just
yeah,
you liked it more than I did, which
yeah.
is not a crime
No,
yet.
it's
I'm,
not.
I'm
Yeah,
lobbying Congress at the moment to
yeah.
to prevent such injustices in the future.
Yes. I just signed into legislation that if you disagree with DB Fastbinder's tastes in films, you're going to go to prison.
You're officially wrong,
You're officially,
legally and morally.
yeah. Yeah. Well, this movie is currently on Netflix.
Yeah, it's been on the maybe list for a while, so it was good to finally give it a shot and see what it actually was. Definitely
Yeah.
not what I was expecting. Um,
Yeah.
I would also say that this almost feels like it could be in the same continuity as 3 Days of the Condor, another
Mm.
Redford movie.
Yeah, he's yeah. Redford was he was definitely in that spy genre. He played it very well. That might be why he got cast in this movie. Now that I think about it,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, like unofficial sequel to 3 Days of the Condor. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, oh, he got back into the game and changed his name, and
yeah,
we
and
invented a backstory where he was in Vietnam.
yeah, uh, yeah. But yeah, I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.
Indeed.
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it as always. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, ring the bell, buy some books, and
All the good
we'll
stuff.
all the good stuff. Yes, and we'll see you next week. Night, everybody.
Good night.